All right, welcome everybody. We're going to start tonight with our national anthem, and we have Rory Levitt to sing that for us.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Rory. Next, we'll have our invocation by Reverend Sandy Johnson from Boulder City United Methodist Church. Thank you.
Will you pray? Gracious God, creator of our universe, protector and lover of us all, we come before you this night as those who believe, those who question, those who simply can't fathom a God such as you. We thank you for the blessing that we might be all together in one space, celebrating the town in which we live. Our beliefs might differ, but we all can agree that we want only the best for Boulder City. We thank you for our community leaders who keep our town running smoothly. We especially thank you for our mayor, Rod Woodbury, and our city council members, our city employees, and all of the residents who make Boulder City clean and green and the best place on the planet to live. We ask your blessing on this gathering tonight. Encourage us to be better than we are. Help us celebrate our successes and to affirm our commitment to excellence as we move into this new year. In the months to come, we ask for your guidance as we develop and discuss the plans for our town. We ask that you keep us focused on the good of all and encourage us to be respectful in all of our dealings. And Lord God, pull out your blessing on all of us here tonight and be with us now as we commence our State of the City address. And I lift these prayers in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Sandy. I want to make sure everybody can hear me tonight. We good in the back? All right, great. Well, thank you all for coming tonight. I'm Rod Woodbury, and I'm so very proud and honored to be the mayor of this great community, Boulder City, Nevada. Yes. Allow me to start by recognizing those here in attendance tonight. It's so nice to spend a couple of hours in a room full of friends and guests who do so much for our community. It's especially heartwarming to have family here, including my beautiful, gracious wife, Leslie. You all mean the world to me. When it comes to serving others, I look around the room and I feel a little like the mule owner who entered his mule in the Kentucky Derby. People said, "Are you crazy? What in the heck are you thinking?" Well, the mule owner said, "I don't really expect him to win, but I do think he's going to benefit from the association." So by the end of tonight, you may be calling me an ass instead of just a mule, but I already feel some of your goodness rubbing off of me, and I appreciate that. For our dignitaries here tonight, please stand to be recognized as I call your name. And hopefully I have everybody here. Representing Congresswoman Susie Lee is Mike Venozzi. Thank you. Assemblyman Glenn Levitt. Thank you, Glenn. Regional Director of the Bureau of Reclamation's Lower Colorado Region, Terry Fulp. I believe we have Clark County Commissioner James Gibson. Thank you. Clark County Clerk Lynn Goya. Hi, Lynn. Former Clark County Commissioner and my dad, Bruce Woodbury. Hi, Dad. Henderson Councilwoman Jerry Schroeder. Mesquite Councilwoman Annie Black. Former Councilman Duncan McCoy. Former Councilman Mike Bassini. Representing the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority is Legal Counsel Luke Pushnig. Representing University of Nevada, Las Vegas is Vince Alberta, Vice President of Brand Marketing Communications. Representing Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance is Perry Ursum, Vice President of Business Retention and Expansion. Representing the Regional Transportation Commission is Mark Trosdal, Director of Finance. Representing Clark County Regional Flood Control is Steve Parrish, General Manager. And representing Workforce Connection is Jaime Cruz. Boulder City Municipal Court Judge Victor Miller. And I don't have a list here, and I'm not sure exactly who's here from our committees and commissions, but we appreciate your service on those commissions. And if you're here tonight, could you just stand so we could recognize you as well? Thank you. Did I miss anybody? Please stand. Thank you. For Jackie Rosen. Sorry, it's hard for me to see out there, but we appreciate you being here. I'd also like to thank our Mayor Pro Tem, Peggy Levitt, and our council members, Warren Harhay, Kiernan McManus, and Rich Schumann, for their never-ending work on the community's behalf. Please stand so we can all see you, and thank you. Thank you again to all of the volunteers who serve on our committees and boards who are in attendance tonight. And thank you to all of our city staff members here tonight. Once again, you've put together a great and wonderful event. There's a new energy in Boulder City at City Hall. We hired Al Noyola as our manager, our city manager, in March. He has brought great ideas to the table and worked hard to rev up staff morale. Several key departments also saw new leadership come on board in 2018, and reallocation of budgets allowed some much-needed staffing to be completed. Among notable hires were our Finance Director, Diane Pelletier, City Attorney Steve Morris, Communications Manager Lisa LaPlante, CIP Coordinator Keely Randell, Economic Development Coordinator Rafi Festekjian, Utilities Director Dennis Porter, and our Public Works Director Keegan Luttrell. Please stand, all of you, if you're here, so we can recognize you as well. That's a lot of new faces, and we really appreciate them. So welcome to all of you here tonight, and thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do for our great community. As we start a new year, let's throw it back into reverse and look back at our many accomplishments in 2018. First up is our strategic plan. Several months of citizen input and discussions with community stakeholders helped us formulate our new strategic plan. City Council approved the plan last month. Designed to help chart our course over the next 5 years, it's our roadmap into the future. Our mission and vision statements, which focus on preserving our small town charm and history, enhancing quality of life, and maintaining safety and economic vitality, remained unchanged. Our new plan also includes 5 overriding goals or priorities. They are continuing to achieve prudent financial stewardship, moving forward with our plan to invest in infrastructure, being ever vigilant to manage growth and development, stepping up our promotion of historic preservation, and sustaining our exceptionally high level of public safety services. The new strategic plan lays out 41 strategies to attain these goals. Under the direction of our city manager, staff is now working feverishly on an implementation action plan, which should be complete within the next few weeks. One of the pleasant surprises coming out of this process was just how quickly we were able to craft the plan with the help of city staff and planning consultants after receiving citizen input. Miraculously, we agreed on the mission, the vision, the goals, and all 41 strategies in just a few short hours over 2 separate sessions. It usually takes my family longer than that just to agree on what we're going to eat for dinner, which really demonstrates that we have broad-based consensus here in our community about the direction we need to be headed over the next 5 years. I want to thank everybody who participated for a job well done from start to finish. For any brave souls who have ever attempted to navigate our municipal code, here's some fantastic news. City Clerk Lorene Crum and her staff are overseeing a complete rewrite of the city code, which will eliminate redundancies and make it easier for residents to find information. Lou and her staff worked with other Southern Nevada clerks to advocate for a new countywide voting system, including new digital voting machines. Now municipal election voters can cast their ballots at any vote center throughout the valley during early voting and on election day. With City Council's approval, the city clerks have also been working to align municipal elections with state and county elections, which will reduce direct costs to the city and likely have the added benefit of increasing voter turnout. So Lou and Tammy, I know you're around. Also Tina Pickens, could you please stand so we could recognize you, our city clerks. And if I'm not mistaken, Tina's usually the one that helps decorate this fabulous venue for the night. Thank you for that. I'm very enthusiastic about the positive steps that our Community Development Department has been taking. It now has a critical new position, our first ever Economic Development Coordinator. We also have a brand new Economic Development Advisory Committee comprised of members from throughout our business community with expertise in a variety of disciplines. And the department has been developing our first retail vacancy inventory, which will provide us with analytics to help our retail community become stronger than ever. Another issue that I've heard complaints about for many years is also being proactively addressed by community development. It involves building permits. In the past, permit applicants visiting City Hall have been sent from one department to the next, then to the next, then back to the first, then to another one, and so on. It's time-consuming and can obviously be very frustrating and confusing to people. Now, for certain building permits at least, we have an online building permit application which saves customers time with submission and provides 24/7 access. That means you can apply for a permit anytime, anywhere, such as when your family's debating over what to have for dinner, or even when you're struggling to stay awake during a political speech. With expanded hours and the transfer of code enforcement responsibilities to the Community Development Department, the city is also making a renewed commitment to protecting property values. For instance, we've made it easier for residents to report property-related nuisances and maintenance concerns using a new online form. This is just one of the many ways we're making it easier for residents and businesses to communicate with city staff. This past year, Community Development also teamed up with the finance and fire departments to streamline our business license application and inspection processes, thereby reducing the steps a new business is required to take to open in Boulder City. Under the leadership of hardworking Community Development Director Michael Mays, all of these initiatives are helping to further my repeated Mayor's Vision challenge to be more business friendly. So, Mr. Mays and all of you from Community Development who are here tonight, can you please stand so we could recognize you? Thank you. Known as Boulder Hills Estates, Storybook's new 127-lot subdivision is now underway at last. Phase 1 is being constructed with 20 building permits issued and 3 homes having already received certificates of occupancy, with more on the way. Though modest in scope by most standards, the last residential development in Boulder City of a similar size was at least 30 years ago in the late 1980s, when work on the municipal golf course estate subdivision began. And George Bush was elected president. That's George Bush Sr., by the way. We are excited for the upcoming grand opening and want to thank owner Wayne Laska, President Janet Love, and Vice President of Land Acquisition Michael Gray for Storybook's investment in our community, their excellent community outreach efforts, and especially for the provision of additional housing opportunities for our residents. I didn't see them here tonight, but if anybody from Storybook's here tonight, would you please stand? We really want to thank them. It's been a great project. New leadership in the finance department paved the way for better processes and greater efficiencies. The department was recognized by the Government Finance Officers Association with its Certificate of Achievement for Excellence. And it also delivered an audit with 0 findings, an extremely rare feat for any government entity, and certainly the first time the city's done that in my 7.5 years on City Council. That's a big deal. These are 2 significant achievements in Finance Director Diane Pelletier's first year that I know she's very proud of. Her team also created 2 new executive summaries to provide simple, clear, and transparent options for our citizens to view and more easily understand the city's annual budget and capital improvement plan. These summaries simplified technical, complex, and anything but user-friendly information into easy-to-read formats that even America can understand. Each going a long way to fulfill my repeated calls for crystal clear communication. These documents represent Boulder City's commitment to provide high quality and reliable service into the future. The Finance Department is also finally back to fully staffed status, with the hiring of an administrative coordinator and an account analyst. Utilities are also now split into separate enterprise funds: water, wastewater, electric, and landfill, which will facilitate better data analysis and help us work toward making each one increasingly self-sustaining over time. Finance staff also analyzed and made appropriate adjustments to the city's investment portfolio, a step projected to result in $160,000 of additional investment earnings in 2019. In combination with our 5-year capital improvement plan, staff also developed a strategic asset management plan for the first time. Together, these will help us better prioritize infrastructure and equipment needs in the coming years. And so, Diane, would you please stand, and anyone from your staff? Thank you so much. We've seen great things there. And finally, in conjunction with the Finance Department, congratulations to Brock Armentrout. Brock, please stand for a moment. Brock's over there doing his usual IT stuff. Brock was the winner of the 2018 Las Vegas Top Tech Exec Government Division Award. As we all know, Brock is a jack of all trades with extensive experience and institutional knowledge in many areas, including information technology, community development, grants, solar leases, and special skills and projects of all kinds. Thank you, Brock. He's also the ultimate team player, always willing to do whatever is asked of him with a positive attitude and with humility, and constantly looking for opportunities to proactively pitch in and help with any needs that arise. We greatly appreciate your dedication over these many years, Brock. Thank you. Earlier, when I was talking about the strategic plan, I mentioned that our residents have a strong desire to have and to sustain Boulder City's top-notch public safety services. Both police and fire have made an extra commitment to preparedness this past year by establishing an Office of Emergency Management as well as an all-hazards plan. Special thanks to Kevin Nicholson, our fire chief, who led the way to get those finalized in 2018. I know he's very proud of everyone's extra efforts to advance the city's emergency management program. As we move forward to adopt emergency management codes and begin practicing our respective roles in the All Hazards Plan, Boulder City will be better prepared than ever to provide essential emergency response functions during a disaster. As an added bonus, we recently learned that the city will be reimbursed approximately $750,000 pursuant to the state's Medicaid plan for Medicaid patients who received emergency medical ground transport services during fiscal years 2016, 2017, and 2018. I'm happy to report that our long-anticipated fire station renovation project is now finally firing up. This $724,000 project will create a safer, more functional work environment for our firefighters while improving energy efficiency in the aging facility, lowering maintenance costs, and enhancing access. The fire department also initiated much-needed upgrades and replacements of various equipment and protective gear, including self-contained breathing apparatus air bottles, turnout gear, boots, helmets, and both mobile data and EMS reporting tablets. Thank you as well to Boulder City voters for passing ballot question number 1 in November, approving expenditures from the Capital Improvement Fund to replace the department's aging fire engine, which ironically now has enough candles on its birthday cake to be a fire hazard. Finally, I know Chief Nicholson is proud of the department's efforts to revitalize its reserves program. Using a non-traditional approach to staffing, they've been able to tap into a larger pool of qualified candidates and found new ways to utilize the reserves to staff the department's third rescue. So I know Chief Nicholson's here, and any other firefighters, would you please stand? Looking good in the uniform back there. Thank you. Because of our police department and because of its successful efforts to enlist the help of our citizens, Boulder City still boasts an overall crime rate that is at least 60% lower than the national average. I've said that every year, I think, that I've stood up here. Chief Tim Shea recently gave the oath of office to 3 new police hires, bringing the department back to fully staffed status for the first time in several years. In 2018, the department also added a much-needed 911 dispatcher, reestablished 2 motorcycle traffic officers, and upgraded the city's canine unit with 2 handlers and 2 canines. With regular visits to our schools and community events, Chief Shea and his staff have shown an impressive level of accessibility and dedication. To help with education outreach efforts, the police department has also engaged more than 24 volunteers headed up by Patrick Richardson. They recently implemented a neighborhood speed awareness program which informs speeders by mail of their lead-footedness in an effort to induce self-corrective action without initially punishing them. They've also implemented a volunteer patrol program to look for roadway hazards that can be addressed by public works, such as downed or obstructed traffic signs and potholes. The police volunteers also kicked off their You Are Not Alone program, a free service conducted in partnership with the Boulder City Senior Center that provides comfort and security to older adults by checking in with them on a regular basis. Our men and women in uniform truly are among Boulder City's finest. So please allow me to share Chief Shea's own words about these remarkable individuals. He said, "The accomplishment I am most proud of in 2018 is what the men and women who serve in all areas of the police department have accomplished. They are on duty every hour of every day without fail. We never close. They see and deal with people in extreme distress and in dire situations as a matter of routine. What they do each and every day to help make our community the exceptional community it is, coupled with their steadfast dedication and willingness to subordinate personal wants and comforts to meet their obligations, is their never-ending accomplishment and gift to our citizens. I am very proud of them and of that continuous accomplishment." End quote. Animal control, which is also under the auspices of the police department, completed approximately 800 adoptions in 2018, which amazingly amounts to over 2 per day. Under the leadership of Ann Inabnet, the Boulder City Animal Shelter euthanized less than 4% of all animals either picked up or relinquished to its care, which means it now qualifies as a no-kill shelter. So Chief Shea and all of the officers here tonight, please stand so we can recognize you as well. Recently renamed the Breaking the Cycle Rehabilitation Court to better reflect its mission, Boulder City's drug court program continues to save broken lives and improve our community. It's a lot of words to say in one night, tripping over my own tongue. The program now boasts 12 graduates since its inception 3 years ago, with 18 current participants, including 3 more scheduled to graduate on February the 5th. With help from the city, the Sunrise Rotary Club continues to provide major support for the program. And the Nevada Supreme Court chipped in to fund specialty court training for the entire Breaking the Cycle court team last year. Our municipal court also instituted a DUI court diversion program to provide intermediate treatment to individuals who commit lower-level offenses, with the goal of reducing recidivism and increasing safety on our roads. A courthouse addition to provide safer locations for prosecutors to hold pretrial conferences, for attorneys to consult with clients, and for domestic violence victims to counsel with their advocates is also being constructed. When completed in a few months, it will increase overall security for our patrons and staff. And finally, the opening of I-11 has led to new safety challenges, ramped up traffic enforcement measures, and corresponding increases in the court's caseload in the latter half of 2018. I want to thank Judge Victor Miller and his staff for their ongoing commitment to improve our court system and for continuing to timely resolve cases in a caring, compassionate manner, notwithstanding the workload increases. Judge Miller, if you're still here, I know he had to duck out, and any other court personnel, please stand. Also, I know Doug Shepman was here from Sunrise Rotary, and I'm sure there are others. Can you please stand so we can recognize you? Thank you. It was another busy year for our Parks and Recreation Department. Under the leadership of Roger Hall, Parks and Rec completed several municipal golf course improvements, including expanding the golf court staging area, extending the cart path to the driving range, and removing numerous cottonwood trees. Parks and Rec also helped secure a new management contract with golf pro Andy Schaefer, putting Boulder Creek, the magnificent course that's hosting our event here tonight, and our Muni course under one management umbrella going forward. Our playgrounds and ball fields also got plenty of attention. New sand for the Del Prado Park playground, new safety surfacing and outdoor exercise equipment in Veterans Memorial Park, replacement of the water park splash pad surface, installation of a new safety surface at Hemingway Park, and a new shade structure at Bravo softball field. Also constructed at Veterans Park were new outdoor basketball courts, which have been very popular among kids and adults alike. And I just noticed last week how bright the rec center's big gym suddenly became with its new LED lights. I'm actually hoping that the improved lighting will bring hoops into clearer focus for my aging rec basketball team. We have a game tonight. Speaking of aging, Boulder City's existing public pool is now 40 years old, and like most of my basketball team, has clearly seen better days. It requires costly repairs on a regular basis and continually struggles to keep up with contemporary public health standards. After a year-long series of outreach efforts and community focus groups, Roger and his staff worked with SH Architecture on a preliminary proposal for a new aquatics facility that incorporates input received from our citizens. They also commissioned a phone survey to collect data on various issues, including the community's appetite for issuance of a multi-million-dollar bond to cover design and construction costs. Voters will now have the opportunity this June to vote on a ballot question seeking authorization for the proposed bond. Of course, our many diverse Parks and Rec sponsored programs and classes for all ages continue to flourish as well, thanks to Roger and his staff. Roger, you probably have a camera in your hand, but there you are. Please stand, and anyone else from Parks and Rec. Thank you. In addition to assisting with the proposed aquatic center and other Parks and Rec projects, our Public Works Department commenced, continued, and completed many large-scale projects of its own, including the noteworthy Arizona Street Project, which was paid for in part at least, with funds from our own Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada, our RTC. Furthering our commitment to invest in infrastructure, Public Works also worked on several significant utility projects like upgrading the 4 kV portion of our electric system to a new co-compliant 12 kV system, installing BC Tap substation improvements, updating customer electric meters, and laying a supplemental El Dorado Valley water line. This beautiful golf course pavilion that we're sitting in tonight also has a new cover and a new safety system as a result of our Public Works Department's fine work. It's comforting to know that we'll all be safe, even if this speech goes down in flames. Furthermore, in collaboration with RTC, NDOT, and our own Community Development Department, Public Works has been working with our consultants to put the finishing touches on the design of our Boulder City Parkway Complete Streets project. This is a much anticipated project that's meant to make our major artery through our community much more bicycle, pedestrian, and user-friendly for our visitors, for our residents, and for our businesses. So I want to recognize our Public Works Director, Keegan Luttrell, also our, who was our acting Public Works Director for a good time, Jim Keene, and anyone else here from our Public Works Department. Please stand so we can recognize you. And also our partners at NDOT and RTC. Thank you. Working with the City Contracts Administrator, Public Works also helped negotiate a 10-year contract extension with our landfill operator, Waste Logistics. In addition to other favorable terms, the city now receives cost-free waste collection at 4 city facilities: City Hall, the police station, the courthouse, and the fire station, a savings of approximately $113,000 over the life of the agreement. And our virtually free single-stream recycling service and affordable twice-a-week trash pickups continue as well. This contract extension, along with the 2 major landfill expansions we've secured over the past 6 years, leaves us extremely well positioned to keep our solid waste and recycling costs low for decades to come. So I know Robert Martello is here. We want to recognize him, as well as Steve Kellish, Mr. Michael Piscini, and Jim Ferentz I saw earlier from BC Waste Free / Waste Logistics. Thank you. Please stand so we can give you a hand. Personnel administration processed 81 new hires last year, including 15 full-time staffers and 66 part-timers. They also processed applications for 32 volunteers. The airport and our IT functions now fall under the stewardship of personnel administration as well. Before departing in December, Airport Manager Jennifer Lopez oversaw significant changes in the operation of the airport's fuel farm, which were intended to enhance maintenance and safety measures. An ambitious airport master plan update was also completed. Additional airport projects included the transient ramp reconstruction project and the taxiway A realignment project. The airport is also once again engaging in planning for a possible air traffic control tower. Late last year, the FAA's Airport Improvement Program cap was also lifted. If we proceed, this will allow Boulder City to request FAA grant funding for the full cost of the tower, an estimated $5 million, thereby limiting the city's commitment only to future maintenance costs, which are currently projected to be less than $30,000 per year. And so I want to recognize Bryce Bolt and his staff, if you're here. Thank you, Bryce. Solar energy continues to be a ray of sunshine in the city's revenue portfolio. We now have over 6,400 acres of developed solar facilities, which produce over 1,100 megawatts of power. That's enough energy to serve almost 830,000 homes on any given day at peak delivery times. Of that energy, 940 megawatts now stay in Nevada. Various solar companies also have lease options to construct almost 3,500 additional acres of facilities, which would add another 695 megawatts of solar production to our portfolio. Future developments are planning to incorporate battery storage to lengthen the time period over which solar-generated energy can be brought to the market, a move that will potentially reduce the carbon footprint even further. Solar isn't just good for customers, though. It's good for our community, too. In fact, solar lease revenue is one of the primary reasons we're able to keep our fees and local property taxes so low. In our current budget, annual solar revenues in the amount of approximately $10 million cover almost one-third of our operating costs. These revenues also help our capital improvement fund, contributing approximately $2 million to that fund in 2017. And of course, a strong capital improvement fund helps to pay for our many critical infrastructure projects. In addition to providing direct revenues, our solar partners have been strong supporters of our local nonprofits for many years. And over the coming year, we'll continue to explore ways for them to be more involved than ever in our community. All right, so I'm going to finish up with my mayor's vision. This is now my fourth State of the City address. 3 years ago, when I gave my first one, I set forth the 5 elements of my vision statement, which were, number 1, family and faith first. Number 2, being business friendly. Number 3, crystal clear communication. 4, keeping our financial house in order. And 5, picking up the pace. And each year since then, I've reiterated those same critical elements. Last year and the year before, I was able to report discernible improvement in most of those areas. But this year is the first time that I feel like I can genuinely say that staff at all levels has truly caught the vision and begun to implement it in earnest. In fact, they're doing it with a very refreshing sense of urgency and alacrity, I might add. So let me start with the 5th one, picking up the pace to get out in front of the many ever-evolving challenges that every public entity faces. And also to take advantage of the endless opportunities that always come with those challenges. In 2016, I cautioned that the then current pace with which we were moving wasn't nearly quick enough, and that the I-11 bypass would be here in the blink of an eye with potential revenue-generating opportunities that would come and go if we weren't ready for them. Well, guess what? I-11 is now open, and its impacts are no longer a matter of speculation or a thing of the past. They're here. Fortunately, the negatives generally haven't been as bad as some imagine they would be. In conversations, I've heard some businesses say that I-11 has impacted their bottom line by as much as 10%. And that can definitely be a lot for a small business. But there are also businesses that tell me their numbers are up by as much as 15%. And some are even saying their sales have doubled due to reduced traffic congestion and easier navigation, as reported in today's paper. Having lived in Boulder City for 40 years now, I can definitely attest to the benefits of I-11 on our former traffic congestion problems. When I was in junior high and high school in the late 70s and early 80s, the bottleneck was down at Hoover Dam. We would sometimes have to wait in bumper-to-bumper traffic for 2 hours or more to cross it. Then, when the Mike O'Callahan Pat Tillman bypass bridge was completed in 2010, the bottleneck moved up the hill to our stoplight at Buchanan Boulevard and Nevada Highway. So what did we do? We widened the US 93 highway as it slopes down toward Lake Mead, which only served to move the bottleneck to Railroad Pass. And then we had traffic jams clogging up our main business corridor for years, and not just on the weekends and holidays, by the way. Now, with I-11 finally in place, we still have a steady stream of traffic through Boulder City, but the traffic jams are mostly gone now. And that's great news. In fact, that's exactly what I-11 was intended to do. Nevertheless, some of our businesses are going through an adjustment period. So the question is, what are we doing to help them? Well, regardless of what past administrations have done, I can tell you one thing for sure. The current administration, under City Manager Al Noyola's leadership, is definitely not sitting still. One of his favorite sayings is, "We are rocking and rolling now." And boy, are we ever. Al's other favorite saying, "It's another day in paradise." Al, you want to say it? Say it. Stand up and say it. It's another day in paradise. Definitely has nothing to do with lounging on a beach chair sipping lemonade. When we interviewed Al for the job, I extracted a promise from him that the city as a whole would never again be legitimately accused of not moving forward quickly enough. Fortunately, he had already read my past State of the City addresses several times through and was ready to not only pick up the pace, but also to jump in headfirst and tackle all of my other mayor's vision challenges. As Councilwoman Levitt loves to say, he's a get-her-done kind of guy. And he knows how to hire get-her-done staff members to then delegate and hold them accountable. In the 10 months or so since he was hired last March, the following is just a short list version of some of the many transformative changes and accomplishments that Al and his amazing staff have already put into play. Number one, immediately assessing and revamping city staff's organizational structure as needed, including reassigning oversight of certain programs and responsibilities from one department to another, repurposing employees and creating several new positions to fill voids, eliminate redundancies, and maximize efficiencies. Some of those key new positions include, as already mentioned, our communications manager, our capital improvement plan coordinator, our economic development coordinator, and our utilities director. In addition to the structural changes, we have begun studying economic spending data, including credit card spending, to compare pre-I-11 opening to post-opening data. We've updated our strategic plan already from start to finish. We started the process to create a new historic preservation plan. We've established a new economic development advisory committee, created a new online building permit application, streamlined our business licensing process, created 2 new executive summaries for our heretofore hard-to-understand annual budget and 5-year capital improvement plan, begun our annual budget and CIP processes sooner than ever before, split our utilities into separate enterprise funds to enhance data analysis and self-sustainability over time, adjusted the city's investment portfolio to increase investment earnings, developed a strategic asset management plan to prioritize infrastructure and equipment needs, moved our special events grants program from our redevelopment fund to our general fund where it belongs, ramped up our crystal clear communication efforts in numerous ways, which I'll get to in a moment, achieved many, many other goals and accomplishments, including those listed in the City Highlights brochure handed out tonight. I just don't have time to mention all of them. And all this while upgrading customer service, continuing to provide top-level programs, and otherwise enhancing our citizens' participation opportunities and overall experience interacting with the city. Okay, so hopefully I've convinced you about the absolutely phenomenal work being done over the last 10 months at City Hall. Now, does that mean that Al and his staff walk on water? Close. No, not, at least not yet. We're working on it. But rest assured that those who may in the past have been accustomed to drinking from a water fountain are finding instead that the fire hydrant is on full blast. We're moving, and we're moving fast. And I'm confident that as we continue down the path we've been traveling, you'll see even greater results than those we've achieved in 2018. By the way, in exchange for Al's commitment to pick up the pace, I in turn committed to do everything in my power to provide him with any resources he needs to get her done. And I'm thankful very much to my fellow council members who've done their part in joining me to keep that commitment. Al has taken us up on that promise, and so far at least, I believe we've delivered the resources he needs to make the tough, transformative changes necessary to be successful. And I don't mean to be disrespectful here, and the city's helping in every way it can to help the federal government shut down, but unlike that federal government shutdown, and no offense to those who are here representing the federal government, Boulder City definitely is not in shutdown mode or slowdown mode. We don't have essential services out. We don't have projects delayed. We don't have furloughs being implemented. Instead, we are in high-octane mode as we should be, moving briskly to get out in front of the issues and opportunities that await us. By the way, as I've been talking tonight, I hope you've noticed how many times I've used the word data or data. That's because our current administration is clearly employing a data-driven approach to the many and varied issues we face. In today's world, people love to speculate and spin half-truths. In fact, did you know there are people in the world today whose sole job it is to invent stories to share on Facebook under the pretense that they actually happened? And increasingly, people are saying, who cares if those stories are true or false? People love them and we make money off them. Unfortunately, that kind of indifference to truth is also rapidly seeping into all aspects of our public discourse, including our political dialogue as well. In fact, to use one of many such words coined in recent years, according to some, we now live in a post-truth world. And in such a world, honesty, integrity, veracity, and fidelity to truth, which were once bedrock principles of virtue, are quickly giving way to an ever-increasing tolerance of lying, deception, cheating, misinformation, disinformation, manipulation, half-truths, no truths, cover-ups, and outright lies. I went to the dentist the other day to make sure, it was actually just yesterday, to make sure that I don't have any tooth decay. But I don't need a professional to confirm that our society is suffering from truth decay. Truth as a widely held value is eroding fast. Despite the pretenders out there who would try to convince you otherwise, untruths and all other forms of dishonesty in our public dialogue have severe negative consequences. The further we allow them to seep into our public forums and institutions, the more we begin to see widespread cynicism instead of healthy questioning, factionalism and polarization instead of cooperation, increased vitriol and incivility, pervasive uncertainty, citizens trending further away from active participation in government and more towards alienation and disengagement, lower voter turnouts, and general mistrust of public institutions. We simply cannot let that happen in Boulder City. And don't think it's not already a serious risk here in our somewhat isolated little town, because it is. That's in part why data-driven analysis is more critical than ever for us. We need facts. We need truth-based information. We need solid metrics and analytics. And yes, we need honest critical thinking and critical questioning, not only from professional consultants, but from our citizens as well. Only then, when we're armed with data-driven information, will we be able to make the best possible decisions under the circumstances. Truth does matter. So I'm thankful to staff for its clear commitment to data-driven solutions rather than giving into the increasing pressures of truth decay. Good inspiration is very dependent upon good information, and the best inspiration always comes when we have the best information available at our disposal. That's a nice segue into crystal clear communication, which, as you know, is another critical element of my mayor's vision. Last year in my State of the City, I highlighted communication as a particular area of emphasis in which I wanted to see measured improvement. Not only the media, but also at home in City Hall. And I truly believe that's happened this year. In July, the city hired communications manager Lisa LaPlante, who brought with her more than 2 decades of experience in communications, both in the media and in municipal leadership. She quickly created a flexible communications plan for the city, laying out an effective blueprint for sharing information and for being more transparent. She also coordinated several town hall meetings and workshops to keep the community engaged. Information sharing is more proactive than ever, with news releases being disseminated regularly to area agencies, posted on social media, and shared on bcnv.org/news, a page on Boulder City's website dedicated solely to news and information. In fact, those news releases fly out of City Hall almost weekly now. Media requests are consistently filled in a timely fashion. Lisa also created Twitter and Instagram accounts for the city, as well as a new staff newsletter. And this year, she is continuing to grow our YouTube platform and is also working with several staff leaders to complete our website redesign. Once complete, our web pages will be more user-friendly, and easier to navigate. I think our local media will agree that Lisa has done wonders to make City Hall more transparent and certainly much more accessible than ever. Speaking of our local media, I want to thank our Boulder City Review for working cooperatively with us as we've undergone these transformations over the past 6 months. I also want to thank them for being increasingly proactive in highlighting the positive aspects of our community and for their commitment to objectivity when controversial issues inevitably arise. I especially want to thank them for their new business brief section in the paper, which highlights new businesses in town. I don't know if it will continue, but I sure hope it does, because I really think it helps new businesses to get noticed quickly, to feel welcome in our community, and to start off on a positive note right out of the gate. I also want to thank our other media partners as well. We rely heavily upon you to help us keep getting better and better at our crystal clear communications mission. When I talked earlier about our extraordinary efforts to pick up the pace this past year, much of that included our work to be more business friendly and to keep our financial house in order. So I won't say much more about that again, except to remind you that we had a clean finding-free audit, that our solar revenues continue to increase. We have a balanced budget. Our reserve funds are increasing. Our debt is relatively low. Our utility rates and property taxes are still much lower than those in other nearby jurisdictions. Our new strategic plan is geared up for economic development, including implementation of historic preservation and adaptive reuse as an economic driver. We now have a stronger than ever team in place, including critical positions dedicated exclusively to prudent financial management and to further strengthening our economy. And at long last, we have a few new residential home options at the cottages and Boulder Hills estates, which, although small in numbers, will help to provide portions of our local businesses to provide patrons to our local businesses and to give our economy that little shot in the arm that it needs to keep growing. So to be sure, we still have major infrastructure and facility needs, like our long overdue electric infrastructure, utility upgrades, and our aging aquatic center, and those will require big dollars in the coming years. But all told, we are financially healthy and continuing to become healthier and healthier as we stick to our solid financial planning strategies. Last, but certainly not least, faith and family first. Thank you to those from all denominations who graciously petition on our behalf at the beginning of every city council meeting, and just as Pastor Sandy did tonight at this meeting. And to many others who do silently and anonymously at other times and in other places. Thank you also to our local nonprofits and volunteers, including our schools and faith-based groups. We could never hope to meet all the needs of our citizens without you. You are our eyes to see what we can't see, and you are our ears to hear what we can't hear. You are our helping hands. You are our feet to run to those in need. And together with the wonderful Boulder City residents that contribute their time and talents to your noble causes, you are the heart of our community. We love you all. And we can never thank you enough for all the compassionate work that you do behind the scenes. We are indeed fortunate to live in this amazing little community together. So thank you all for coming tonight. May God bestow his most bounteous blessings upon Boulder City and upon all of you. And good night, everybody.